Welcome back. As we said in our intro, we are still celebrating this week the 10th anniversary of the 30th of June revolution. And throughout the last decade, we are witnessing already a day after the other, not only a year after the other, achievements in all fields. And there are a lot of efforts exerted by the state to boost many fields, particularly the economic one, including the industrial sector. The industrial sector is a vital sector playing a very positive role in boosting our economy. To shed more light on this vital sector, its achievements, its development, our homework, what we should do, the achievements already implemented on the ground, and the projects which are already going on, they are not dreams anymore, they are processes going on. We are very much delighted to have with us live here in the studio our dear guest, Engineer Mustafa Waly, former president of the Egyptian Industrial Federation. Thank you very much for being with us, Engineer Waly.
Thank you for having me. For some time, yeah.
I beg your pardon, sir. And let's start immediately. We do have a lot to speak about. You know, sir, we are all celebrating being back. It seems that we do have some technical difficulties. Right after the short break, we are going to turn back with more. Welcome back. We are very much delighted to have with us live here in the studio our dear guest, Engineer Mustafa Waly, former General Manager of the Federation of Egyptian Industry. Thank you, sir, for being with us.
Thank you.
Let's start immediately. And I was saying that all Egyptians are celebrating to regain our country, to have Egypt back. And throughout the last decade, there were a lot of efforts exerted by the state, whether on the political leadership level or on the people's level, to regain our country in all domains. And here we are talking about our industrial sector in specific. Before going into the details, let's have a general look. How do you see encouraging the industrial sector to revive once again throughout the last 10 years after what we have suffered before those years?
Well, actually, when you mentioned in your introduction that to regain our country, I think if we talk about very important and very decisive and very critical period of our history, modern history up till this moment, the description or showing that these people with its leadership, which took it back to bring again, to let's have again our country. This is the right expression, I mean, without exaggeration, because anyone who would think how things could have been, or it could have been disastrous, yes, yeah. Yes. So that's very important. Of course, history will judge. And history is always giving you the facts and figures, especially when it is not that long time. But within these last 10 years, Egypt and the Egyptian people, with this leadership, the historic leadership of this era where we are living now, and hopefully we will have the boost after this also again, and keep going into materializing our aspirations and our hopes for our country will continue. Let me tell you that, of course, something very essential that we as Egyptians, we have seen, we are quite sure that industry and industrial sector is the locomotive and the prime mover of the economy, not only for us as a developing country working hard to get its right situation, right position into international arena, but also as to fulfill the aspirations and the needs and the hopes of our Egyptian people. Mm-hmm. Industry has the burden and has the efficiency and has the prospect and the role to fulfill this, together of course with other sectors, but mainly it should be the industry. And those who are close to this sector, I mean, they know exactly what was going on it is tremendous. It's a continuous revolution. When it comes even, you know, some new aspects of some new understandings, positive understanding for the essence of economy at large, when we see that the small and medium enterprises is taking a very big push
Exactly,
actually,
sir.
and
This is
so
going to
on,
be a big part of our
and
issue.
so
But
on.
let's start with the new things or the new elements which are added, the new concepts. I mean, there are relatively new terms we are
Yeah.
now hearing
Yeah.
in the field of industry. For example, localizing industry,
Yes.
and to make sure that we are depending on our local components.
Yes.
To localize industry, to instill new industries here in Egypt, this is one of the priorities of our political leadership. Would you please elaborate on that?
Absolutely, and I am lucky, and I had the chance, and especially with you, to discuss this issue over a long time now. Many times I've been raising this issue. The latest was at least a new concept, talking about new concepts. EBDA, which is startup,
Start.
yeah, or start or begin your project, which will soon will see the effect and the results of adopting this kind of concept, actually, economic and social both, you know. That's something just to prove what you say. Well, for example, that to give a turnkey project, you give it the push and the startup when you offer as a government and as a local municipality, as all over Egypt, you offer the land and the power needed to start a viable project. If you have a right project, the viable project, feasible project, you can have what you need, exactly as what happened in similar cases of other countries to boost their economy. And now we see cases, very, very bright cases in this case, and we are following the suit. That's very, very interesting.
Yes, sir.
And we should always highlight this, actually. And I hope this will be the role of media. And
Inshallah.
also, yes.
This is exactly what we're doing. To move to another issue, sir, regarding getting the utmost benefit from our resources.
Yeah.
And for example, in many occasions, when the president is inaugurating a new project, whether it's a mega project or to reopen an old project after its renovation,
Yes.
we are not going to export phosphate. We are going to manufacture fertilizers, and then we are going to export phosphate. Not our raw materials,
Yes.
but to benefit from our raw materials for our best interest. How do you see this concept as a relatively also new one?
You know, it plans its objective, and the demand for having this. It's, you know, it's in economic terms. It's increasing the added value. So of
Exactly.
course, so if you look at you know, raw material, you sell raw material. It's needed, for example, to the world in a way or another. Then you sell it this way, you export it this way. But imagine when you start to have the capacity and the capability to get the end product of such, you know, component material
This
or
is
part
it.
of material, then you see that the difference will be. And meanwhile, the indication that this society, who is making use of his own raw material, basic raw materials, is capable of using it, of having an end product of it, that it means immediately, that's very important, consequently, that this country or these people who are doing this are having that such level to have manufacturing to this level, international level, which means that
State-of-art technologies, and according to the international standards.
Yes, of course.
But sir, let me add to what you have just mentioned, new terms, or I mean, for example, I myself did not know that we are such a rich country in black sand, in quartz. There are things which already now opening new horizons.
Yes.
And opening new markets for us.
Yes, yes.
How do you see taking this into consideration and opening these new horizons in front of new investors, whether, by the way, direct or indirect investments, whether Egyptians or foreigners.
Local or foreign,
Yep.
yes, that's absolutely right. Well, that shows you that because this should be the general policy or the main policy of the leadership of the country, and also the adoption of this policy by those who are sure that it's for their goodness. It works together in this case to put you in a situation where you are attracting, if even you can't do the business, you can attract the foreign direct investment. And that in itself a very great contribution to your economy, and by time to your status of the level of technological, if we talk about technology and how if you go to the base of the industry, the level of the industry, then you're having by time cadres and leaders,
qualified
of all,
ones,
yes,
to be able to run such projects.
Because they will be working in it, they initiated it, they have been through it from A to Z. And we have great stories, a lot actually, specific stories. Has to do, of course, with the details and the
logistics
type and the type of industry
and managing and the type of industry event with that.
Yes.
Sir, in April, there was a presidential decree number 141 to have the Supreme Council for Investment presided by the President.
Yes.
And with the membership of Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa and a number of ministers, in addition, of course, to the CEOs of many state industrial entities. Sir, the very important decisions or draft resolutions released by this investment is for the best interest of our industrial sector.
Right.
Let's tackle some of them.
Yes.
The golden license.
Absolutely. Well, of course, the golden license, actually, this was a solution, a decisive solution, and firm and at the spot for all the hassles and problems related to what we call, administrative and all these things, So if you are serious enough, this will be proven, then you get the chance. And we will, this decree or this golden license will let you, you want to have the job, you want to start, you want to go to work, you can do this, and everything will be later on. So that the priority for you to have a viable project and you can prove that it is working, then have that chance. Then, it's like, having the cart in front of the horse or a horse, that's it. Before it was thought this way, the problems would look at. Minimizing these hassles, minimizing this problem, it helps much. But in my opinion, for a very, very important meeting of this Supreme Council of Investment, actually I remember that it was 22 decrees, to be ratified, so officially.
There were 22 decrees.
Yes, that's fantastic, because it tackled and it entailed every aspect of what could be a problem or a complaint or a
double
hinder.
taxation.
Exactly.
10 days
Yes,
to have
a
the
lot,
license,
everything.
the golden license to help the factories which unfortunately closed their doors before they had difficulties. Now the case is totally different. Also, the amendments of laws for the best interest of the startups or the new entrepreneurs.
Exactly. Yeah. Even for the big industries, those who need specific, regulation or something. Frankly speaking, it was a big blow to all what is actually there or always sometimes imagined problems, which all has to do not with the essence of the business. It's related, for the culture of doing business.
Bureaucracy also.
Exactly. So, we got to talk to this.
Simply they put it in a way that bureaucracy is a form of corruption.
Yeah.
And since we are fighting corruption, it's included. Yes. And to add to this also, one of the 22 amendments or the 22 draft resolutions about industrial zones. Industrial zones, they are very important to attract more investors and to open new markets in front of the current investors, if you want to elaborate on the importance of industrial zones.
Well, it proves that it is essential. Now we have many industrial zones. Some are very familiar, very famous, especially when we talk about a special economic zone
New Suez Canal.
in Suez area. And also we have in Upper Egypt, we have in Hurghada, we have such places, you know, more or less. But the only thing is that, well, we manage successfully so far, I hope more, that we apply every necessary regulation which will be positively pushing for better doing the business. I mean, you know, the motto actually when we talk about business, to have investment, you know, make better business.
Yeah,
which
make
means
the better business.
which
Yes.
which is exactly should be. If you can't have better business unless you have a friendly environment.
Yep.
Friendly, this is a big word, and it's used. It was used, and even it was promoted in some emerging economies to attract foreign direct investments. This is the best ways. And if you ask about something like anything, how to do that, you will find everybody giving you the right answer for the shortest time, in the shortest time. That's in itself for those who are in the business, and time counts very much when you are establishing projects.
Time counts very much, and because of this, also a monitoring unit is already established.
Yes, yes.
And to give a report
Absolutely.
for the presidency of the council
Absolutely.
every 3 months, meaning that
Absolutely.
all the time there are amendments, all the time there is a kind of following up the whole story, and nothing should be just going on haphazardly.
No.
Everything is based on scientific rules,
Exactly.
on feasibility studies, on taking into consideration that there are things which will be amended on the way.
Absolutely.
How do you see the importance of this monitoring unit?
What you say is absolutely correct. And let's always make use of our heritage and our knowledge which we got over the years. So we have very well trained experts in this business. Then let's rely on them, because they have been through all the problems, you know, starting from technical, you know, to administrative, to whatever. This in itself is a wealth for us, you know. And I think that's why there were 22 draft resolution or decrees or whatever, something that will be binding, you know.
Yep.
Name is
The
important.
word binding was used, by the way,
course.
in many of the articles in this resolution, for these resolutions. But, sir, also you mentioned in the start of our talk the SMEs.
Yes.
The SMEs is part and parcel of any successful economy.
Yes.
Of course, we are very proud of the mega national projects we have, whether reclaiming millions of fedans or establishing new smart cities, you name it. But also SMEs can play such a vital role in pushing our economy forward.
Yes. Now we are talking about established facts over the years, not only in our country, in many other countries, who have passed the same experience. And exactly, the importance of this issue is that SMEs in itself is a reflection to the level of how certain country in certain aspects, let's say service or industry, are keen to utilize the availability and the finance in even it's a small amount, but the youth, which is very important in this case, every chance is available there to mobilize the youth, to find...
To empower them.
Empower them and mobilize them. I mean, create the activity, create the interest in them, you know, to get into entrepreneurship. Because this actually is a very important contribution. And at the end, it will serve the big industries, you know, such as small and medium.
And this is scattered all over Egypt. It's not centralized anymore.
No,
as
that's it, yes. I am
as
very
you
happy.
mentioned,
Exactly.
we were talking about Upper Egypt, the Delta, the Suez Canal, everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere, yes. It's going even to the far west and the far east, in Sinai and in Marsa Matruh and in these areas also, you know.
inshallah, we are going to continue on the right path.
Yeah, hopefully.
Sustainability,
Yes,
competitiveness.
sustainability.
We
Yes.
do have a lot of new terms now implemented on the ground.
Yes.
It's not only dreams, no, we are living this industrial revolution. As usual, I enjoyed my discussion with my dear guest, Engineer Mustafa Waly, former General Manager of the Federation of Egyptian Industries. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Right after the short break, we are going to return back with more, so stay tuned.